Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. I know it's not Halloween. Alright, that's long past. But when it came to my Halloween videos, I ran out of time and I couldn't upload everything I wanted to. So that's why I'm uploading them past Halloween. But if you stop and look at it like this, at some point in time, it's gonna be Halloween time again, October. So somebody eventually will stumble upon my videos and watch it around Halloween time. So yeah, and I'm here today to talk to you about Goosebumps, Werewolf Skin. This episode I'm very conflicted about because part of me likes some of it and then the other parts I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Because like I originally got this one mixed up with Fever Swamp years ago when I bought it on DVD. I thought Fever Swamp was Wolfskins, but then later on I found out that Wolfskins had never been released on DVD, only on VHS. And so I ended up loving Fever Swamp. But Werewolf Skin, it has a great plot and premise. It's just there's something else that bugs me about it. Mostly it's the acting and the execution. Everything else is fine. It's just the way it's executed, and a lot of the acting gets on my nerves. Pretty much everybody's acting in this is either mediocre, bad, or slightly bad, except for the uncle and the teacher. So basically, here's the thing. There's a boy named Alex, and he's going to live with his uncle and aunt. Typical Goosebumps. I like that. They set it up where he gets dropped off at like a station. I think it's like a gas station or a bus station, something like that. And the setting is very old, very rustic, very goosebumpy. I like that. Now he waits, but then here's the problem with it. Alex is a prick in the beginning. He's very rude to a lot of people in the episode. And he's rude to the bus driver. And then she starts telling him like a ghost story, and he's even more rude. He's just unlikable in the beginning because he's so prickly and everything. So that already turns me off from like the character. Plus, okay, I have a rule. If you're underage, I don't criticize your acting unless your acting is amazing. However, this has been many years ago and the actor is now an adult, so I can criticize it. His acting's not very good and he rambles and talks a lot in this episode. So then he waits overnight at the bus station because his uncle and aunt never picked him up. And I'm just thinking in my head, and when his uncle does pick him up, he's not like outraged. He's not like, why didn't you pick me up? Like the dude literally slept on a bench outside at night. And not to mention that the town is called Wolf Creek and that there are werewolves in town. A werewolf could have easily ate that boy. And he's not pissed. He doesn't know about the werewolf shit. He's not pissed. And like, he doesn't ask like where his uncle was. Everything's just like cool, nonchalant. He's like the cool uncle talking about strap in, and then we're going on a shortcut. And his uncle just drives around like a maniac around town, having like fun and everything, like a cool uncle. And I'm just like, dude, you slept on a bench overnight. Something could have happened to you. You could have got ate by a monster, or you could have got killed, snatched, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the uncle's not, oh, I'm sorry. And the boy's not, dude, where you at? In How to Kill a Monster, that one dude, Craig, or whatever his name was pissed that like the grandparents never came back and everything and just left them in the house. And this dude's just like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But it turns out they're a family of photographers. The uncle and aunt are, and also the boy, Alex, is. And so it's never explained why he has to live with his aunt and uncle, but he does ask about his parents, like, have you seen them yet? Well, where are they and everything? So anyways, there's a house next door that's abandoned and creepy looking. Great. Typical Goosebumps. I'm still feeling that part. You know what I'm saying? But, and he's reading a magazine book called Chillers. Now, what's interesting about that is that in the Chillology episode, there is a building called Chillers. So, like, great. Nice little Easter egg and stuff. And there's a contest. If you take a great picture of something, like, interesting, you get the grand prize. So, he's taking pictures of lots of stuff. Cool. I'm still feeling it and everything. You know what I'm saying? He meets a girl named Hannah out in the woods as he's taking pictures. Hannah has a very unusual look. Well, I can't talk tonight. Look, she's dressed like a hippie. Her shirt, her pants, her hair, her jacket, very hippie from back in the old days. So, something must be interesting about her, or maybe she just has a style. But in a way, she seems cool and everything. But her acting is so-so. And so like they're walking in the woods, and then we look up and we see a reddish like full moon, and she gets kind of like creeped out and she leaves him there, and he doesn't know she left him there. So it's like, okay, why did she leave during the full moon? Okay, reminds me of Welcome to Dead House. The kids got scared of the light and they left. So something interesting must be going on with Hannah. And so then at some point, we still haven't got no mention of werewolves yet, and the episode is nearly over. And so it's a two-parter episode, by the way. It's not an hour special, it's a two-parter. And so at some point, he's like out in the woods and he sees something. We don't know what. We can't see it. He's all like, "You're not Hannah." And then he takes off running. It's the monster of the episode, a werewolf. Somehow he is able to outrun the monster. He goes to the house that's abandoned across the street for his. Why didn't he go to his house? He can get inside his aunt and uncle house very easily, but he goes to the abandoned house for whatever reason. Nobody answer it. And then his aunt comes all of a sudden. And his aunt is really rude to him. And so his aunt's all like, "What are you doing out here at night?" and blah, blah, blah. And "What were you doing in the woods?" And "I thought I told you to stay away from the Mauler's house, or Mulligan's house." And he's all like, "Yeah, I know I'm supposed to stay away from him, blah, blah." She's like, "Come on," and everything. And so she takes him back to the house, and the uncle's gone. And he's all like, she has to go meet the uncle for something, and blah, 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 blah. And they leave him in the house alone. And I'm thinking to myself, why is she rude to him? And two, one, her acting is slightly bad. And three, she's never mentioned anything about the house across the street. So to us viewers, we have no idea he's not supposed to go to that house, and nobody has warned him not to go to that house. It just comes out of the blue. So why isn't he allowed at that house? But apparently those neighbors are very rude. But throughout the entire episodes, we never see that family that lives in the house, and there's a reason why. So then in the next episode or so, he's at school. So it's like, oh, wait, hold up. You're actually living with your uncle and aunt. I thought you was just there visiting. But no, he's living there. And it's never mentioned that he's living with his uncle. It just seemed that he was going to visit. And when he mentioned his parents, I assumed that he was going to live with his parents. And the parents just got like a home in town and something like that. But no. So he's at school, a new school. And the kid, they're like two bullies and everything. The bully's acting is terrible. I don't know if it's terrible on purpose or it's just terrible for how it's written. And so like, then they start teasing him about werewolves and werewolves in town, and the legend of how when a werewolf, the full moon comes, a werewolf is a werewolf. But then when the sun rises, the werewolf sheds its skin, and then it hides its skin, and then it puts the skin back on during another full moon. If it's not wearing its skin when the full moon is risen, then the skin dies and everything. I'm thinking to myself, cool, man. That's awesome. I love that take on werewolves. I've never seen or heard anything like that before. That what makes R.L. Stine so great. He has come up with a brand new way to make werewolves interesting. A person just wears the skin of the werewolf and everything. And the werewolf costume, when we see later on the episode, is actually pretty cool. And so this now Alex is no longer being a prick and everything. Now it's the bullies being a prick. So now Alex is like a nice guy, and they challenge Alex to go at midnight in the woods so they can like see werewolves and everything, so they can drink at the pond where they're supposed to be. He's like, all right, cool, whatever. I ain't no punk, you know what I'm saying? And he wants to take pictures because he wants to win that grand prize. The teacher thinks, Hannah thinks it's a bad idea, and the teacher seems concerned earlier and stuff. Anyways, he's there at night. Well, he wants to go there at night. And at some point in time, he tries to leave his house because his aunt and uncle just left. But then they put bars on the window and they locked his door. He can't leave. So it's like, why did they lock him in for? So this is a cool mystery. It's building up, similar to How to Kill a Monster. Then next thing you know, he tries to escape through the windows. Don't know how he's going to get through the bars. But anyway, two werewolves try to come through the window. I'm thinking, dude, that's awesome and everything. This is awesome. Like, we actually get to see the costumes, unlike Fever Swamp, and they're trying to rip him to shreds and everything. And so I'm like, this is great. They've been to bars. Anyway, the next day, he tells his aunt and uncle and everything like that. And, and they all like, we don't know what the world you're talking about. So we know something's up with the uncle because they're acting kind of weird. This is goosebumps after all, you know what I'm saying? And then so at some point in time, he's like, back out in the woods, and he goes to that abandoned house next door. He's looking through the window with his camera, and there he sees the werewolves, and he sees them taking off their skins. It's his aunt and uncle. I think that's the end of that episode, and it goes like into the next or whatever. But anyway, it's a two-parter, so it don't matter which episode's which. So anyway, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. His aunt and uncle could literally eat him. But then I'm like, if they want to eat him so bad, why did they lock him in the room? And so they must not want to eat him and everything, but there must be other werewolves around town. And so they thought they heard something outside, and they go to check and everything like that. So, it's getting more and more interesting, right? So then at some point in time, he sees the bullies, and the bullies all like, where were you? My friend got eaten up by mosquitoes and everything. Well, at some point in time, there's a dream sequence, and it's a cool dream sequence. I always said, Goosebumps or the Haunting Hour, the dream sequence is always better than sometimes the actual episode. And so the teacher's all like, Hannah told me you was going to be out here, and I couldn't let you go alone, and blah, blah, the werewolves. And then the teacher turns to a werewolf. It's basically a dream within a dream. So it's like, cool, whatever. And so at some other part in the episode, he's all like, all right, I have to get rid of these werewolf skins so my uncle and aunt can't use them no more. And this differs a lot from the book, by the way. And so, like, he's determined to, like, get the skins and just get rid of them. So he has a shovel in hand, and Hannah's going to help him, but Hannah is very weary for some reason. I'm like, what's going on, Hannah? When you going to transform, Hannah? And so the full moon hasn't come yet. So it turns out there's nobody living in the Mulligan's house. The aunt lied, but he should have known that when he never saw nobody come in and out the house. So then he goes in the house, he gets the skins, and they're really cool looking. He puts them in like, a trash bag and everything. And she's like, do you have a little zip tie thing? He's like, no. I'm like, just tie it. Well, anyway, here comes the aunt and uncle. The full moon's about to rise. And so they sneak out the house, and the aunt and uncle are freaking out because they want their skins. The kids run out to the woods and they start digging a hole. Well, actually, it's Alex digging the hole. He digs a really good deep hole. But Hannah don't want to help, and Hannah is freaking out. And Hannah leaves before the full moon is about to come. And I'm like, oh, come on, Hannah. We know you're a werewolf. Just transform already. And so, like, So here comes the aunt and uncle. They're all like, give us our skins, looking like zombies and everything. Just like they look drained. So I'm like, this is cool again. And then so he's burying the werewolf skin, but the werewolf skins are coming alive. So he starts beating them with the shovel. And then he starts like whipping the shovel back and forth in the air, trying to make the aunt and uncle get away. And then he's beating the werewolf skins again. I'm like, this is kind of cool. The werewolf skins are like actually alive, but nobody ever said they actually come alive unless they're actually wearing a host. But this is kind of cool. Like, I'm liking this little twist to it. And then all of a sudden he just rushes both aunt and uncle, and he tackles them to the ground. And then here comes the full moon, and since nobody's wearing the skins, all of a sudden they blow up Michael Bay style, like a huge explosion. I'm all like, that was a little much. Like, did they have to explode? Why couldn't they disintegrate? Why couldn't they just turn into dust? Like, why they have to explode? That just seemed a little overkill to me. So then, the curse had been broken, and the aunt and uncle are thankful and everything. And then, he's looking at all his pictures, and he sees that he ain't get no good shots to win the grand prize. Well, then he sees a picture in the woods that he took, and Hannah's in the picture, but she's wearing a werewolf costume, and she's taking off her werewolf like headpiece, and you see like her head. Then Hannah shows up into the dark room. She's all like, "See, I told you I don't bite." And I'm like, okay, I like that twist at the end and everything. But it was kind of explained. You got the feeling she was. It would have been nice if she would have transformed or tried to attack him. Now, in the book, it's darker. In the book, she brings her werewolf skin and then she puts it on and she attacks him and everything. And I'm just kind of like, I want to like this episode. I want to like it a lot. But it's just kind of like there are just some things in the episode that I'm just kind of like, just don't do it for me. And it's just like, because the setting's great. The idea of werewolf skins is great. It's just everything else. It's the acting. Like, I can't get past the acting. The acting is just kind of, ugh, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I don't know. The bullies acting was just terrible. And then it's like, it's not explained well right, why he's like living there. It would have been nice to have an explanation. Like in other Goosebumps episode, we know why these kids are sent off to like their relatives and stuff, and if they're gonna live there or not. But it's never explained. It's just weird how the boy slept overnight in like, um how he slept overnight and like outside and nothing tried to get him. Then he's not even mad about that. Then you go halfway into the first episode and there's no werewolves or barely any mention of them until the very, very, very end and stuff. And then it was just kind of like, it was just too much of a filler for me. And I didn't like the filler. The filler was just kind of like, they hurry up. It doesn't take that long to explain. Then there's the abandoned house with the so-called people living there. It would have been nice if we would have known, hey, stay away from that house. But we don't know why he's supposed to stay away from that house. It's never explained. So it's kind of like, in other episodes, things are done better. Things are explained better and the acting's better. Here, they kind of dropped the ball just slightly. But it was slightly enough for me to just be kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Because it leaves me with more questions than it does answers and stuff. And it sucks because, like I said before, the idea of werewolf skins is just like amazing and so original. The twist at the end is fine, but the twist in the end in the book is so much better and stuff. And and I get why the adults like lock them into the room, because they know once they transform, the wolves will take over and they can't control themselves and stuff. But it's just like everything else just seemed kind of it's almost like they sped up, like rushing like to get it out. And didn't really take the time and care just to explain just a little bit more. And it's just like, it sucks because I really wanted to really, 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 really love this episode. But it was just little things here and little things there that just got on my nerves. And I could not get past the acting. And it's kind of like, if the acting was better, then I could probably excuse all the other little things. But the acting just did it in for me and stuff. Like the main dude personality kept shifting. First he's like prickly, then he's nice and trying to save the day, but he keeps rambling and keeps talking, and his acting is just so. That wasn't that spooky. All right, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.